Atlas Headrest has finally finished their headrest for the Herman Miller Embody. They started shipping out pre-orders. This thing is pretty fantastic. I'm gonna give my honest thoughts on it as I break down all of its features. Let's get honest. If you want to pick up a headrest, you can use my code ENTOURAGE for $5 off. But Atlas Headrest will not activate that code until all their pre-orders have been shipped out, and it could take a little while. I'll update my pinned comment and the description to let you all know when the code is live. And if you like tech, chairs, desk setups, you've come to the right place. Make sure you get subscribed. If you have any questions, any comments that you'd like to leave, I read all of them. I do my best to respond to all of them. I really, really appreciate your support. This headrest is not cheap, and part of that has to do with the fact that Atlas Headrest has gone out of their way to match color and materials with nearly all the embodies out there. This includes the color of the frame, the pixel material that bends with you, the color of the pixel material, the fabric type, and the fabric colors. There are a few fabrics where I don't believe Atlas Headrest is going to release. For example, on the balanced fabrics of the embodies, I don't think they're going to release fabrics for that. So just for reference, because some of you have asked, this is what the black sync headrest looks like on my carbon balance embody. The cushion on this headrest is amazing. It's soft, yet feels really supportive. And then the adjustments you get in this are awesome as well. You can really dial it in the way you like. I move around a ton in the chair and I have no issues getting it exactly the way I want it, but more on that a little bit later. The headrest comes in two pieces. You get the body here and then the headrest itself. This is the old prototype version, but it's pretty much identical. And then it comes with all the hardware you need as well as a protective sticker. Now in the future, Atlas Headrest does plan to sell the headrest by itself. So for whatever reason, you can just pop this one out of here and replace it with a new one. Installing the headrest can be a little tricky, but I'm gonna give you some pro tips. First is that the plastic sticker, feel free to screw up as many times as you need. I found that I screwed up so many times, but I was able to take it off really easily and put it right back on. And don't sweat it if it's not perfect. It's just gonna get covered up once the headrest is on. The instructions tell you to take the body of the arm and connect it to the actual chair itself. And this is by far the trickiest part of the install. But go ahead and take those instructions and throw them away, because here is a pro tip that's gonna make it so much easier. Instead of trying to install the body of the armrest onto the chair first, install the headrest onto the body first, because then once you thread everything from the right side like you need to, you can slide the headrest all the way down, push it forward as well, so that it hangs on the chair top lip. This way, the body will stay straight so that you can go ahead and thread and put that connector on so much easier. If you don't do that, the body is gonna keep falling off and you're gonna need like 3 arms in order to get this thing installed. And don't be a dummy like me. There are 2 different screw lengths. The longer one goes in the top hole and the shorter one through the bottom hole. I spent like 10 minutes cursing about why it wouldn't screw in because I didn't realize that. If you have a gaming embody like I do, unfortunately, Atlas Headrest didn't provide anything on the final version to hang this tag off of. It's still got that same space where you can tuck it, but I'd love to know if you guys have any DIY solutions for where you want to put this thing if you want to display it. If you have a white frame embody like I do at home, the screw dust stuff can leave residue and leave your white frame looking a little dark. Well, you can go ahead and take a white paper towel and with some elbow grease, really rub it down, and all those marks come out just fine. I'm gonna break down all the adjustments and then I'll give my thoughts on them after. Starting with the vertical adjustment. So this thing can go up and down, and it's not a straight up and down because it's got a little bit of a curve. It kind of moves more of an arc motion, and then it's got a huge amount of range. Like at the top, Atlas Headrest told me like, dude, like 0.00001% of the population is gonna need it that tall. This is for like the 7'3" people out there. For most of us, we're probably gonna be hanging around here. And what's really awesome is that the minimum height is awesome as well, because check this out. You see the top edge of the chair here, you see the headrest. If I push it all the way in, this thing can actually go beneath the lip of the chair. And for me, being 5'6", this is really awesome, because what it means is that this is too low for me, but what it means is that I can go ahead and have it in this kind of position right here, which I love, but you can see that it needs to be a little bit lower than the chair for someone like me. My humble opinion, I think the minimum height for this headrest is gonna be around 5'3". If you're shorter, you probably don't need a headrest on the embody anyway.
Lean back, I would like this curve to be where my neck is, and it's actually like sitting in the middle of the back of my head. When it's unlocked, it's much more comfortable. When it's unlocked, I feel like I'm getting that like, I'm relaxing feeling. But when it was locked before, I felt like I wanted to get there, but then my head stopped in the middle of the way because it was too tall for me.
But I'm gonna say 5'3" all the way up to 7 foot whatever. To adjust the tension for the up and down movement, you have to pull the headrest outwards, and there's going to be a screw right here. You take the included Allen key and you can tighten or loosen it accordingly. The headrest also has a huge amount of horizontal adjustment as well. You can go all the way up here and as far back as all the way back here. And if you want to control the tension of that movement, you can go ahead and turn the knob here on the right side. And if you really want to crank it down, you can take the included Allen key. There's a screw right in the middle of this knob, and you can go ahead and turn it accordingly. And then finally, the headrest itself can swivel, and it's got a huge range of motion here. I am a huge fan of this headrest, especially because of the adjustability of it. Look, I hate when I'm sitting upright doing work, I hate having a headrest here. I hate it even tickling the back of my hairs. So the fact that I can push it out of the way while I'm sitting in the chair, I don't have to get up and do it. The fact that I can do this is awesome. But then I have moments where I'm kind of like, hey, what is life, right? And so I use this thing as a literal headrest where I'm putting it on my head and I'm looking upwards. And I'm just kind of like, But then I have moments where I'm kind of like, look, I want to read something on a screen. I want to watch something. I want to be a lazy gamer. And obviously this isn't going to work. So the fact that I'm able to pull it forward, bend it down just a little bit, and then turn it like this, now my head is supported in the neck area, but it's able to keep my eyes a little bit more forward while leaning back and lounging in the chair. This thing is awesome, and the curvature and the softness of the foam makes it so that in any position, however I want it, I can always really dial it in and get it perfect. I actually spent a ton of time taking the headrest and really jamming my head into it, like in every position, turning it and slamming it to see are there any pressure points. And as far as I can tell, it is soft all around and is soft all inside, except for the very tippy tops, which I doubt anyone's ever going to use. And this is gonna sound like a really odd application, but for you tall freaks of nature out there, you might even be able to kind of lower it a little bit into your chair and be able to sit on it like this because it's so soft here. You might even be able to use it like this to get upper back support. I would love to know what you tall freaks of nature out there think of this suggestion. Like, does it help? Am I crazy here? Let me know. The main frustration about this headrest is going to be the tension adjustment. Now, as I explained before, I love moving the headrest throughout the day. I need it here sometimes, I need to be able to push it back sometimes, and I'm able to tighten all the tensions in the exact way so that I'm able to do that super easily. But I'm also only 5'6", which means that a lot of times my headrest position is going to be such that it can't even go backwards because it's hanging over the lip of the chair. And also because I'm not very top heavy, I don't have to worry about things like, oh, if I'm leaning on it, will this thing slide back? But for you taller, heavier folks out there, I've noticed that when you sit in a chair, you have much more weight on the upper side, and so this thing is able to move so much easier. So what that means is for tall, heavy folks, you might have to go back here and really crank everything down, get it super duper tight so it doesn't move while you're sitting in the chair. But then when you sit in the chair, you're kind of like, oh, I want to adjust it so that it is able to go this way. But then because you cranked it so hard so that it wouldn't move while you're sitting, now you can't move it by hand while you're sitting in the chair. I can imagine that that would be really frustrating, but I don't know. I would love to know, you tall freaks of nature out there, let me know if this is right, let me know if this is true, and I'm sure other people would value your feedback as well. I also wish there would have been some place built onto the headrest where you could leave the Allen key. That would have been a nice touch. If you watched my video on the prototype of this headrest, you might have had some concerns with noise. Now brace your ears for this one, okay? And wobble. The prototype is using a 3D printed plastic and it's hollow, it feels flimsy and bendy. Now keep in mind, the prototype was 3D printed, whereas this one is glass-filled nylon. It's much sturdier, but here's what it looks like, or here's what it sounds like. I'm gonna shut up now when I move it around. As you can see, almost no noise. Like there's none of that like that was on the prototype. And then when it comes to wobble, this thing is rock solid. Now when I go ahead and shake it, you're gonna see some wobble on it, but I promise you when you sit on it, you're not noticing any kind of wobble. It's gonna be rock steady. And also the fact that it wobbles a little bit, or not wobbles, but the fact that it moves a little bit kind of fits in with the nature of the Embody, where it kind of moves with you as you move around in the chair. Using headphones on a headrest isn't great. You don't get a ton of motion or movement because the headphone ends up hitting the side of the headrest, but because this thing is soft all around, you don't have to worry about your headphones getting scratched up by hard edges on the headrest. And finally, I've gone nuts rubbing the back of my hair on this headrest, and I'm happy to report there's no hair pulling whatsoever. Final thoughts. This is the best headrest ever made, and I don't say that lightly. Like, it is so good. The way you can dial it in, the way it feels, the way it looks, it's just incredible. It takes an already great chair. The Embody is my favorite chair, and it turns it into, I'm gonna say, a damn near perfect chair. It is that good, and I highly recommend that you pick it up, right? I'm not just saying this is my 100% honest review. I'm getting a little emotional here. Like, this is just really, really awesome. Great job, Atlas Headrest. This thing feels fantastic. Again, let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, and as always, stay honest.